Hello and welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Dmitry and we are having another network programmability stream. Today is very interesting project that we are going to do. Very interesting topics that, well, at least for me, we are going to talk about Python asyncio, and we will try to implementing some asyncio support in Nornir. And Nornir is Python automation framework, which I am one of the maintainers of now. So before we start, unlike usual where I first discuss the news and then I talk about agenda, I want to talk about agenda first, since today is going to be something that I haven't mixed before. So we usually have different types of streams. So there are streams where I take a known topic to me and then I just, kind of go through, which is just, kind of like 2-3 hours tutorial. This was, for example, with Docker. The most common type of the stream though is when I take some unknown topic to me, some unknown tool, and then I try figuring out what it does live based on some blogs, articles, and documentation. And yeah, so it's not like tutorial, it's me struggling for 3 hours trying to make the tool work. And then there is a third type of the stream where I choose to contribute some feature or work on some issue or whatever for some open source project. And this is a type of stream where I usually code a lot and I have less comments on my side and I do more thinking. And I know that this type of streams are usually less useful for the audience, since to be able to understand you need to have some solid Python experience, because I don't teach Python on those streams. I just write code based on my own knowledge of Python. So those are 3 types of streams. Now today is going to be something a little bit different. Today we are going to have a little bit of tutorial at the beginning. We are going to take some, well, not take, we will actually write from scratch some Python asyncio code which will interact with the network, probably with via HTTP and via SSH. Both. We'll see how it goes with the time. So this will be the first part. And this will not be a deep dive into the topic, because we had a stream on asyncio way back, almost 1 year ago, maybe a little bit less. So if you go to YouTube library, there is a stream. I think it's called Python. I don't know what it's called. I think it's just Python asyncio or something. There we were having more examples and we were discussing in details what this line does, what that line does. Today I'm going to just do very similar thing at the beginning, but very quickly. So we will not be discussing every single line, but I will do my best to explaining my thinking process when I will be writing those. So in that part, I think we are going to talk to some web services, or via RESTCONF to the devices, but also we'll talk to some devices via SSH. Now, after this part is done, and I don't think it will take more than 1 hour, the main purpose of today's stream is I would like to add asyncio support to Nornir, which is our Python automation framework that I'm working on. I'm helping with. And I'm working on that with Kirk Byers and David Barroso. The reason why we are doing it today is very recently, actually just this week, I had a task, an idea for one of my other projects to implement asyncio internally, and I started doing a lot of investigation. Even though I already had asyncio experience before, I didn't know how to solve this particular problem with introducing the asyncio support into the library that is not really supposed to use async. And in that library, I wanted to use asyncio for the internally, so it was not user exposed API. And finally, after a lot of struggle, I figured out a way to do that. I'm not sure if it's like the best way or not, but it worked. And I realized that using the same approach, I would be able to transfer it to Nornir, some ideas. And that's why I don't want to put it off while my knowledge is still fresh, while my investigation is still fresh. Okay, so this will be agenda for today. First part will be asyncio tutorial, which could be useful for folks out there doing Python, especially if you're doing anything with network automation. This will be probably even more useful for you, since, well, I will explain once we start why that is. And then the second part of the stream, we will be trying to introduce support of asyncio into Nornir. Okay, with that said, please do let me know if you have any questions during the whole stream. I would gladly pause and explain something to you or answer your question. That's absolutely not a problem. So especially during tutorial, I think it will be even more useful. If you feel like you lost and you don't understand what is going on, just let me know in the chat and I will do my best explaining that. Okay, let's discuss some news stuff that happened this week to me, or some new stuff that I learned. First of all, Nornir 2.0 beta 1 has been released yesterday and it's available on PyAPI, so you can upgrade to it using pip install --pre Nornir, or by specifying the version directly. And I am super excited about this. We have quite a lot of features. We also rewritten a bunch of tutorials and docs for it. And if you're doing any kind of network automation, I do believe this is a very interesting framework that you should check out, especially if you want to do something more than simple things that you could do with Ansible. And from my perspective, it's scaling much better than any other tool out there, like Ansible or Salt or whatever. So we have released it. One of the probably the most exciting features there is what we call F filter. And F filter allows you to filter your inventory based on anything, based on any kind of attribute, based on some kind of nested attribute, based on some function results, based on Python magic methods, and also mix them. So for example, you can create one filter and another filter and say or and, okay, using Python symbol and or, and this will be your way of filtering. I do think, from my perspective, even though this was not the feature I developed, I do believe this is the most important feature we have in Nornir 2.0. We do have some other features, but I don't want to turn this into the Nornir release notes stream. So make sure you check it out. We have Unfortunately, it's not backwards compatible with 1.0. We did some changes that are breaking. We had to do them since we do believe they bring much more consistency into the project and into the hierarchy. And one of the things that it allows us to do is we can enforce the structure of your inventory. So whenever you say, you, I don't know, misspelled something, you have to specify host name parameter and you put host. Okay, this the way we set it up right now, we have very strict requirements, and if you run it with host instead of host name, it will yell at you saying that, oh, you have to specify the parameter host name. So this kind of enforcement allows users to quickly understand what is wrong in their code. So we are very excited with these changes. So the best way to get to the docs for 2.0 is to go to our GitHub page. So if you do GitHub Nornir, and yeah, I'm having some issues with my DNS right now, but I can fix them actually. So if you do GitHub Nornir, you go here, and then there is a button that releases right here, and you will see that there is a release, and there are two important links. One is documentation specifically for 2.0, and one is upgrade notes. So make sure you click both of them. And on the documentation page, what we also have is we also have how-tos, which are quite comprehensive, like advanced filtering or how to handle connections to devices. We are still working on some parts of this documentation before the official release of 2.0 once the beta stops. But even as of now, it's actually very good. So make sure you check it out. Okay, so this was Nornir 2.0 beta 1. Now another news is that I just today, like maybe 2 hours ago, I finished Talk Python async course, and Talk Python is the training company which is led by Michael Kennedy, who is host of Talk Python podcast and Python Bytes, and he's great. I already took one of his courses before on how was it called? Writing idiomatic Python, I guess, or something like this. Oh, write Python Pythonic code like a seasoned developer. This was a course I took maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, and this is awesome too. Now this time I was doing this course, async techniques and examples, which covers a bunch of stuff. So this course covers async IO, async web development, trio, threads, multiprocesses, concurrent features, and Cython, which is a way to compile Python code in C, and it's just great. It's an intermediate course, so if you don't know Python, probably it would not be the best idea for you to go through it. You need to have solid Python knowledge beforehand. But it's also not extremely hard, so it's not like it's going to cover every one of those in greatest detail, but it does have a lot of great examples and a lot of concepts. So if you feel like a Python developer that you want to grow and you already know how to write Python code, this course would be a great way for you to learn new techniques and how to make your code run faster. So I can definitely recommend. I finished all of it today. Now another thing is that I submitted a Python async IO talk to INOC, which is Ireland network operators group, I don't think it's going to be accepted since I submitted it quite late and I don't see a slot for 30-minute session. And also I don't have a visa to Ireland in November. So I do hope that this talk is going to be considered for the next INOC, probably during spring. So we'll see. Now another thing is for that other project where I had to use asyncio, since I was struggling for quite a lot of time, once I got a working solution, I decided to publish it on what is called GitHub Gist. So GitHub Gist is a GitHub platform for you to share snippets of code. So instead of having like a separate repo, you can just share. You can just put some code and give a link for it to other people. So this is what I did, and I think we are going to go through this example too today. So let me bring it up. Yeah, this one. Python asyncio event loop in separate thread. So what this allows you to do is that it allows you to, in your non-async library, use asyncio on the backend for some tasks. Very excited to get this working. Actually, there is a funny story associated with this. On the day when I got it working, I told you already, I spent a lot of time trying to make it work. And then at the very end of the day, I usually go through my browser, and I close the tabs that I don't need for the day. And on that particular day, I closed 94 tabs, which was a good indication for me that yes, this is a topic that I don't understand 100%. That it took me a lot of time to figure it out. Now, the last piece of news for today is that PyCharm, JetBrains, which is company behind PyCharm, has a Django promo right now where you have a 30% off discount for the PyCharm subscription. So if you just type in Google JetBrains PyCharm or something, you'll find this page where you can get your PyCharm 30% off, and this is exactly what I did since my subscription ends in 1 month. So yeah, that's all. Okay, so now we are going to start with the some asyncio examples that I think I'm going to write from scratch, and then we will move to asyncio with Nornir. Folks, do let me know if you have any questions, since I would like to keep this interactive. This is not, I don't consider all of my streams like a just tutorial. It's a journey, and I would like, since you're already watching the stream, I would like you to participate in this journey, to provide the feedback or your questions, so that I know what you're curious about, or I know other people where they have some struggles maybe in this, like for the things I'm doing. So very curious to have the feedback from you folks. So okay, let's get started. Now before we do that though, there is one other piece that I wanted to highlight. For today's stream, I am using a little bit different lab environment, and I'm using dcloud, which is Cisco platform to host and share labs, mostly virtual labs. And so if you haven't seen Cisco dcloud, basically it's a catalog with the labs, and it's available internally for Cisco, for partners, and for customers. So at Cisco Live, I have my specific session where I use VIRL, and I built a topology with 10 CSRs. And once I did that, I also saved the session in dcloud so that I can spawn like 10 instances of this lab, or I don't know, 15 or whatever I want, you know. So this is what setup I'm using for setup I'm using for the Cisco Live. And yeah, the reason why that it has CSRs, it has 10 CSRs. It does have already, I think, IP addressing configured and stuff. So for today we are going to use that lab environment unless something breaks. The main reason why that I would like to have like as many, you know, devices as possible, right? I mean, ideally I would like to have thousands of devices, but you know, it's not always doable. Running thousands of CSRs will consume a lot of RAM. But so I have 10, and with 10 you already can see difference between like sequential execution, between threaded execution, and between asyncio. So yeah. So we are using Cisco dcloud, and where we are running Cisco VIRL, and I spin up an instance of the lab, and I started all of the devices before our stream, and that's why you would probably be able to see that I have here Cisco AnyConnect, where I'm connected to this Cisco dcloud lab through it. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and start with doing our asyncio stuff. You know, I promised you examples. So we have our network programmability stream git repo. So I'm trying to find the proper folder, but I don't see one. Okay, that's fine. So what we are going to do, we are going to do the following. So first I have to go to my network programmability stream, and then cd async. Well, I can just create async. Yeah, let's just create async. Yeah, I have to create a directory first. Async. Okay, and then cd async. And I'm thinking if I should create a new virtual environment for it. I'm not 100% sure. I actually don't think I need. So we should be able to source venv bin activate, and then if I do Python, it's Python 3.7. And let me also do this pip v, is it 8? Oh, it's 8.0. So we can also create pip here. So pip install minus u pip. This is going to be bad. Yeah, so I know what the problem is. So once I'm any connected in this particular lab, I actually have some problem with DNS resolution. So once I do that, I can't use PyAPI anymore. So yeah, let me do this. I will have to stop this, and I will have to disconnect from my Cisco dcloud right now. I will have to pip install minus u pip, which is working, and then I will have to also do pip install minus u, let's say uv loop. And don't worry, I'm going to explain this a little bit later. So uv loop aiohttp netdev iodns. Let me see. iodns and C char that, I think. Yeah, C char that. Okay. UV loop, aiohttp, netdev, iodns, C char dev. Okay, good. We are good to go, but C char that actually failed. No, it's aiohttp that failed. Damn. This is actually not great. No, aiohttp there. We do one additional stuff. Pip install -u aiohttp. Yeah, it's actually fine. I think C char that is not, since it has to be compiled, but that's alright. Actually, I don't necessarily need those, but I do need, let me check if, okay, UV loop is installed and netdev. I definitely need netdev. Pip install netdev. Yeah, we have the latest version. Perfect. Okay, so this is what I needed. So now I go to my sync folder and I have nothing, so we can go ahead and start creating our stuff. So we will create first file, and I think I'm going to do HTTP requests. Okay, so yeah, so let's do aiohttp. No, let's do async web client. Let's do this. Okay, now since I don't want to type URLs by hand, I will copy them from here. Okay, this is just a list of URLs. I don't want to go through that again. So this is list of URLs. You know what, let's actually do additional thing. Let me do pip install -u requests as well. Okay, request is there as well. So we are going to do this. We are going to create simple version, check it runtime. And let's do sync. Yeah, so we are going to create a version which just goes to every website. Then the version that is using multi-threading, and then the version that is using aiohttp. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So this will be sync version, so this should be pretty simple. I want, for the test, I am going to use, I will go to the website and I will grab the title of the web page. To do that, I will use a library called Beautiful Soup. So Beautiful Soup installation first. I always forget the name for Beautiful Soup. Pip install Beautiful Soup 4. Okay, so you also need to do that. So pip install -u Beautiful Soup 4. I hope so. Quick start, install Beautiful Soup 4. Yeah. Okay, Beautiful Soup 4. What? Oh, no space, no hyphen. Okay. Yeah. So, and then Beautiful Soup get title, and we will create a. How can I retrieve a page title? Web page using Python. I don't need XML. I will use Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup this. Okay. So, and I will need to use these. So from bs4 import beautiful soup, and then we will have a function called dev get title, where you provide HTML, which is a string, and then we are going to say soup is going to be beautiful soup from the HTML, and then we are going to return soup title string. Okay, now we will have a function called fetch, just fetch, and this is going to be what we will provide the URL, str, and this is going to return str. So we will do this. We will create one request session. No, actually, no, we are not going to do that. We will do this. So we will have to provide session as well, which will be request.session. And then we'll say response is going to be equal to requests get URL. Well, actually not request, but session. Session get URL, and return a response to text like this. And then we'll have a function which says fetch all, which is going to this is going to return an iterable. So let me do this from typing import iterable, and then I will say iterable tuple, where this is going to be URL and well, like str. We'll do this, and let's say this will be download all page titles. Yeah, this is good. And then we are going to here download page title, and we are going to say URL. So title will be get title from response.text, and then we are going to return URL and the title. So then here we'll have iterable, and we will have tuple, and this is going to be synchronous version, so this will be pretty straightforward for URL. In URLs, we are going to let's say, well, URL title is going to be download all page titles. Actually, we can do this. This is going to be like this. Yeah, so we can say result is going to be empty list, and then we will say that result append tuple where we have URL and title, and then we return result. And then we'll have dev main function, which will say this returns none, and we will say for URL title in download expected iterable got list. Yeah, so this will be a list, this will be a list. So something is wrong here. URL title, this will be a list of tuples, correct. This is str title. Oh, yeah, about that. So this is going to be this URL. And additional things that we have to do, we have to create a session, with request, you don't necessarily have to create a session object, but in this case I wanted to, because this will be used for the asyncio example, the creation of session objects. So I want to have those very similar. So this will be like this: session, request session, and then download page title, URL, and session. And I think now it can actually be iterable, since list is an iterable. So for URL, in download all page titles, we can actually provide URLs here, URLs, and then here will be URLs, and here we'll have our constants called URLs, where for URL in download all page titles, we are going to say print f string, where let's say URL, and then URL, let's do this, URL, and then title is going to be title. Okay. Now, additional things that I would like to do will be measuring of the time. So from datetime, import datetime, and let's say start time is going to be datetime now, and exact time is going to be datetime now minus minus start time, and then we'll say total seconds, and then we can say print it took, and it took exact time, and then this part I'm going to copy paste from one of my examples, since I always forget those things. It took this. Now I think I would like to get a new color. So for doing coloring on the in the output, there is Python Colorama output, and I must admit I saw this in Python async course that I just went through, and I honestly think it's just amazing. So Colorama for Python, I will have to install it as well. So pip install -u Colorama, and then you say and I think I would like to have what, cyan maybe. Well, actually, what? No, I think I need something like green, or maybe something like that. Colorama. I need dogs. So yeah, maybe green will be fine, but or cyan. I actually want to try cyan. So application should initialize Colorama with using on Windows. Yeah, so this should be from Colorama. Well, I think I will just say Colorama, and then here we'll say about Colorama init, and then when we are printing this stuff, we are going to say that Colorama for cyan maybe. So Colorama for cyan plus this. Yeah, so I think this should work. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and try this. One quick look. Yeah, everything looks great here. So here I just have a like list of URLs. Now there will be one issue that that I think I'm going to fix now. So basically what is happening is that some websites, I think like Amazon and some others, they block specific agent types, and they block something like Python URL lib3, so that you can't really do HTTP request from Python to this website. So one additional piece that I will have to do would be to set the agent type to something else. So Python can't log in to Amazon with requests. Enable to log in to Amazon blah blah blah. Yeah, this. So I will need to create headers here, and this will be headers, and then when we create a session, I think we can actually specify headers as well. So session here will be headers. Oh, okay, you can actually do that here. You should do this when you do get. Okay. So this is just basically setting user agent to mimic the browser. And I think we are good to go, except we didn't run the main function. So it will be if name is main, then we run main function, and I think now we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and run this. So this will be what? Python async web clients. Well, this doesn't make sense. Async web client sync. No, this makes absolutely zero sense. So let me change it. So let's do HTTP request sync. Something like this. So now I say Python HTTP request sync, and something is not working. So I'm using the best the code that is using blah blah blah, and my Colorama didn't work too. And beautiful soup didn't work 100% as well. So I'm using the best available HTML parser, XML. This usually is not a problem. Yeah, I will also have to install pip install LXML, and it will take some time. Meanwhile, we'll. Oh, okay. So I have to say beautiful soup LXML. So blah blah blah. Oh, okay. You have to provide this, and there's another argument here. So this will be LXML. So this part is fixed. Now Colorama example. Colorama I need. Okay, I call it here, then colored output for close platform, some red text. Let's do green. Green, simply by manually printing ASCII characters. Did I do it correctly? Green plus text. In print statement. Yeah, so yeah, this looks fine to me. It took to run. Let's try green, and yeah, so yeah, we should be good to go. I'm not sure why my text is not colored though. It should be. Oh yeah, you see it's colored right here. So let's change the output a little bit as well. So web page has, oh no, has title this. Okay. And since I'm in Poland, you can see language, well, region specific the titles. Okay. So web page, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 page, it takes around 8 seconds. Around 8 seconds. It took 8 seconds to run. Maybe we'll also do this summary. Okay. You folks are very quiet today. I was hoping for you would bombard me with questions about asyncio, but it seems it didn't happen today. Well, it's okay. So this is synchronous version. It takes 8 seconds. Now we can convert this to threads very easily. So we'll say threads and copy the whole thing. Now one thing to do it with threads will be from concurrent features. Import thread pool executor, and then we'll say download all page titles. So when we are using threads, we should be able to do it here. So yeah, so this will be this thread executor pool, thread executor, let's say 10, so this will be 10 threads as pool, and then pool.map, and we will say our function name and the iterable. So you'll have to modify the function a little bit. So our function is going to be download page title. We will have to use what is called functools partial. So we'll say from here, from functools partial, import partial. So what partial does, it allows you to freeze some argument, and this is what we have to do. So we have to take our function download page title, and we have to provide argument session and fix it. So this will be download page title, and then comma session is equal to session. So now we can apply this function on the pool and get results. Now, and results will be a little bit different, since we will just be returning the just result of this function, and then we will be returning, well, I can say result actually. So I don't need this anymore. I actually don't. I can put it here, and I can say this. Result. I don't need this anymore. Now this will translate into us having additional piece that we have to do. So we have to use zip here. So this, since download page title will be returning a list of strings, we'll have to zip those with URLs. So this will be zip URLs and download page title URLs. And this, now it should be the same, and we are having 10 threads here, and we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and do threads. Nice. So now we have a threaded version. Non-threaded version was running 8 seconds. Threaded version was running 2.36 seconds. Now let's go ahead and convert these to asyncio. Okay, so asyncio is quite different, but there are some similarities, but some of them are not. So well, let's do let's do just async. Okay, so async, almost everything is going to be the same except of request. We are not going to use request anymore. We are going to use the aiohttp. Beautiful sub still is going to be used. Beautiful colorama as well. And there's get title, subtitle. Yeah, everything looks good except of here. This is going to be different. So here we are going to do it differently. So we'll still have a session, but it's going to be aiohttp. I think it's called client session now. Client session, and yeah. So whenever you do async IO, there are a couple of important pieces. One of them is called event loop. So event loop is a loop. Well, yeah, it's basically almost like while true loop, where you submit your tasks to. And the responsibility of event loop to be able to switch between different tasks on the queue. So this is one piece that have to be created when we are doing this as async IO. So we will say we have to create a loop. So loop will be we will also have to import async IO. So import async IO. So yeah, import async IO, and then loop async IO, get event loop. And they changed it a little bit in Python 3.7, but I still think for a lot of use cases it will be better to do it like this. So you create a loop. Right now it's not run yet. Then you have to create your tasks. So tasks is going to be a list of some tasks, and usually I do it using loop create task feature. Let me think if this makes sense. I don't think we even need those. You know what, let me take a look on one of my examples. I just want to double check if we need that. Actually, I think we do. Yeah, so we will have to create tasks now. Yeah, we will have to create tasks, and here is going to be a little bit different though. Loop create tasks. Yeah, we will have to do it here. So in the dev download all page titles, we are going to say async dev. We are converting this function to the coroutine, and we are saying now async with async IO, no, aiohttp client session as session, yeah, and then we will have to create tasks here. Let me think if this makes sense. Well, not necessarily. We actually don't need to create tasks here. So async IO with session. We'll have our result, which is going to be a list. And we are going to say, I'm actually thinking we actually should. So maybe not. Okay. Sorry, folks. So I think with aiohttp client session as session, you don't have this anymore. Now we will have to just await on the result. So the title is going to be await on download page title, where we put URL and session. Now you see that it now says, okay, something is incorrect. So there's one additional piece that I didn't iterate over all of the URLs, which I should. So for URL in URLs, damn, this is going to be, I will have to create tasks, unfortunately. So for URL in URLs, I am going to say this. So we will have this will be asyncio abstract event loop. Here for URL in URLs, we are going to await on this. No, this is not actually correct. So if we do this, our program is going to be synchronous. Okay, I'm going to leave it and I will show you the problem and then we are going to fix it. So we are creating a session for every URL in URLs. We are saying title await, and then we can run the sync and stuff here. And then we don't need this anymore. And then here we can say asyncio run until, well, I think loop run until complete. And then we are providing the coroutine, which is download all page titles URLs. Okay, and then exact time, and then we are doing print for summary. Yeah. So something like this. Now this is going to return none. This is actually an iterable for the strings. Okay, let's try to look this through. So, oh, and there are some other pieces. Here is saying await, but this function is not asynchronous, so we have to make it asynchronous. Async dev download this, then we have to do the following. So let me see an example for HTTP example. Read the docs, session async with response. So yeah, we will have to say async with session get URL as response, and then we are going to say we are returning await from response. Yeah, we are returning well, we'll say response trace for status to make sure that we create an exception if something goes wrong. You'll have to provide here headers as well. And then we are going to say title. Title is going to be await on response.text. This is going to be HTML. So whenever you put await, you're saying, okay, this is a place in your program where you can do some other things while you're waiting on response. So HTML await response.text, and then we will be returning get title from HTML here. Okay, so this function doesn't need to be asynchronous, but this should be. So blah blah blah, and then we here have an argument. I'm not sure why it's complaining. Outline is too long. We also provide a loop, even though it's an unused argument right now. So yeah, okay, we should be good to go, but you will see that this is not working correctly, because here we are having, if you think about this, you're saying for every URL you are going to wait on response from this function and assign it a title, and then you go through for loop again, and then you're again waiting, and so on and so forth. So this is actually a sequential operation, and yeah, this is a potential pitfall with this, and I will going to show you later how to fix it. So yeah, let's go ahead and run this. Async. You already see that, you know, it's very sequential, right? It's like one by one by one by one, and I guess it will take even more time than 8 seconds. Now it took 12 seconds, so more than we had in sequential version. Okay, so there is definitely something wrong here. So what is the proper way to fix this? So the proper way to fix this is to make sure that all our tasks are started at the same time. And to do that, we have to do the following. We have to use a function called asyncio gather or asyncio wait to get the results correctly. So usually I do the following. For URL in URLs, first I create a task. In fact, we also can say something like this. Tasks is going to be loop create task for the download page title, URL and session, and for URL in URLs. So here we are creating tasks, and then we are going to do, now we can actually return these results or print them or whatever we want. In this case, I'm actually going to deal with those here. So then we have to wait on the tasks. So this is going to be done using asyncio gather, and then you do this. You basically unpack all of the tasks. And now for result in results, you can say let me think. For title in results, so we can change this using the zip, for example. So zip URLs and results, and then we'll have URL and title, and then you don't have this anymore, you'll just print this. So let's walk this through. This is a coroutine where we say, okay, we are going to create a bunch of tasks that need to be done concurrently in the same time, where using loop create task, you create these tasks. The beauty of this is that this is not blocking, so it instantly returns and allows you to run the next line. So loop create task, download page title, and I have to change this as well. You are creating 10 tasks for every URL in URLs. You create basically task for every URL. Then using asyncio gather, you get those results. Now there is a problem, since asyncio gather is a coroutine itself, you have to wait on it. And basically you are saying that, okay, once this line is done, our results are going to have a list of results for every single task, and then for URL title in zip URLs and results. So what this zip does, it takes URLs iterable and results iterable and combines, like, first item of URLs will be together with first item from results, and so on and so forth. Actually, I will say this to titles, for URL title in zip URLs titles, and we are just going to print those, and that's it. So now this version is actually concurrent and uses asyncio correctly. Look at this. So now it took 6 seconds to run. It's actually funny that it's still slower than threaded version, and it's actually very interesting for me. I did not expect this, that this will take more time than synchronous version. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but yeah, this is what it is. Let me run threaded. Actually, I have no idea why it takes more time. So threaded takes less time, and here asyncio takes more time. I honestly don't know. That said, I'm quite confident we got this right. I think. You know what? Let me double check one piece. What if I'm not going to create tasks? Okay, it still works, yeah. So when you're using gather, you actually don't have to create, you don't have to do creation of the task, because coroutine itself will be fine for asyncio gather. So asyncio gather, well, it still takes 5 seconds. Yeah, as I told you, I'm not 100% sure why. I'm thinking if there is an easy way to fix this. I have another idea that may work. And another thing I would like to check. Client. Limit parameter for TCP connector. Yeah, this TCP connector may need to be tuned. Yeah, so I'm going to try another example. So async and async 2. And for some reason when I say async, my Siri on my iPhone activates. I don't want to talk to a Siri. No, this is just horrible. I don't need your help, Siri. Stop talking to me. You can't help me with Python asynchronous programming anyway. So yeah, let's do another example, and this is going to be just a little bit different. So in this example, in async2 example, I'm going to create one session per every request. And this is going to change our code a little bit. So here we will not have session anymore. We'll say async with async aiohttp client session as session, and yeah, we'll have this return get title blah blah blah. Okay, so this is good. Now we don't need this anymore, really. So what we can do, we can create tasks here. We can say very similar thing where we say, I think if you are using it from synchronous context, you have to do loop create task, where you say loop create task URL and dot page title URL for URL in URLs, and oops, Okay. And then you say loop will run until complete, where you say, well, I think I can use wait and provide tasks. So this run until complete is an actually when you start your all of your sync IO operations, you start all of your tasks and you wait for them to finish, and you go to the next line only when all tasks were run. So sync IO wait tasks, loop create task for URL and URLs, loop run until complete async IO wait tasks. Yeah, and yeah, so wait tasks. Yeah, this looks good. So then I will have to print the results, and we'll be using very similar technique for URL in for URL task in zip tasks. You can say that title is going to be task.result, since here when you're doing this returns what is called future, and future is an object which will be populated with the value of the code, well, of the task execution later. And in order to get the result of the function, you have to call this dot result function. So for your URL task in zip URL tasks, we'll say title result this, and then total execution time will be that, which is good, and then we don't need this anymore at all. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. Let me see if I did everything correctly. I actually believe this will run faster. No, actually it runs very almost the same time. Let me, I think a client session, I think a session get response. I want to try this, and I don't want to provide headers. Honestly, folks, I have no idea why it is happening. Like, absolutely none. Why the threaded version runs faster. Now, boom, 1.6 seconds. Interesting. You know what? I will do additional thing. I will modify this function a little bit. Get title, and I'm going just to return, let's say, what? Some placeholder. Well, this wouldn't change, but async too. Yeah, well, it still takes some time. Interesting. Zone Timer, hey. Thank you for joining the stream. And I do appreciate your subscription. Thank you very much, Quentin. Okay, so yeah, folks, honestly, I have no idea why threaded version for this works better. Like, absolutely zero. I was expecting that async will run faster, but it doesn't seem to be the way. That said, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't use async. Okay, definitely with bigger number of threads, the overhead of threads is actually becomes quite significant, where you will see if you increase number of threads after some threshold, the overhead is just too much that it doesn't make your program any faster. This is one piece. Another piece, it allows you to write more more explicit code. Dealing with threads, especially when you have to do you have to communicate between threads, you have to like some shared variables and stuff, it's just pain in the ass. You have to deal with logs, you have to understand how to use them properly, how not to cause deadlocks. You can easily cause a racing condition, super easy. So there are still benefits, even if I see that in this particular example I don't see any time benefit here. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't do asyncio, because with bigger number of threads you will actually start noticing the issue. Now also another piece is that I saw that for different libraries, like in sync and async world, the performance is very different. So we'll see an example, I guess, with netdev library, which is alternative to netmiko. Okay, so this was our HTTP requests. Now, you know what? Let's go ahead and use RESTCONF. Now, I have to check that my RESTCONF is working on every single device. Yeah, it will not work right now correctly. So let me open Postman. Yeah. Give me a second, I'm adjusting my Postman environments before we will do what I want. So yeah, I guess you're good to go. So here I have my Postman where we are going to run some RESTCONF operations on my CSR devices. Okay, so, and by the way, one additional piece, let me see. Async to. Yeah, so get untitled request. Let's take get config for every interface. Yeah, let's do get config for every interface. Okay, so ASXC device RESTCONF data native interface. So I have to provide authorization, which will be basic auth, username, password. And now we are going to send those. And hopefully it works. Or I will have to do something with my devices. Yeah, it actually doesn't seem to be working fine. So, oh, I know why. Of course, I have to connect via VPN. It would be good to be connected via VPN for this. So let me see. Okay, I'm connected via VPN now to Cisco dcloud, and now I'm not sure how to stop it. I want to stop. Oh, here it is. Okay, so we were able to get interface details for device 10. Okay, or 10. You know what? It will be easier if I actually get the hostname. So by getting the hostname from every device, I will be able to check. Yeah, this one, hostname. So if I go ahead and do this, okay, it says 10. So now I can go ahead and change some variables here, and you know what, actually this will just take some time. Instead, I'm going to put this IP address here, so 198.18.1.101. So I have to double check that all 10 on all 10 devices RESTCONF is working as expected. And you see it takes some time for this to run. The main reason why is that not only I'm VPN connected, but the environment where I run, they have very little resources. So every CSR, I think we run them here with 1 vCPU or 2 vCPU, I think it's 1, and 3 gigs of RAM, or maybe even 2 gigs of RAM. So it's even less than recommended settings. So their control plane may be actually quite slow in this setup with limited resources. So yeah, I just have to go to every single device to make sure that my RESTCONF is working, and once it does, we'll go ahead and convert this to code. Okay, and we will do something like very simple application. It goes which goes and gets, let's say, IP address of every single device. Yeah, so every single one is working, RESTCONF is working fine. So let's go ahead and convert this program to the asyncio. Okay, and again, I'm going to do this very well, I think quite fast. So let's do this is going to be RESTCONF async. Okay, so RESTCONF async is here. We are going to change hosts where we are going to, again, just to save time, I'm not going to create like YAML files and so on and so forth. So I'm going to just to have a list of every device. 5, 6, 7. And I think it should be a mapping. I'm thinking if it should be a mapping. I'd like to have like a name of the device as well. I'm thinking if I need this. I actually need those, yes. Or we will get the host name and then we will get the other details. Yeah, we can actually do that. So we just have a list of IP addresses, and then I will say other params are going to be username, which is Cisco, and password is going to be Cisco. Password is going to be Cisco, and I don't think I need headers, and we don't need this anymore. So as the first example, we are going to just get the host name, and we'll need that. So get host name, and to get the host name, we need a URL. Well, we need host. Okay, we need host, which is a string, and then we will need to do the following. We don't need this anymore. Actually, I don't need any of those. We'll say get hostname, okay, where you put a host. Host is a string and you return a string. You create a session, you do session get URL. So first we have to create a URL. So URL is going to be f string, where we say https host, and then this URL RESTCONF data native hostname. Okay, so this is going to be URL. Async with get URL. Now here we have to provide authorization, which is going to be other params, username, and well, I can do this then. Username is going to be other params username, and password is going to be the same thing, password. And now this is going to be username, password. Now additional piece, I have to say aiohttp verify false. HTTP verify false. HTTP verify false. Okay, async with request verify SSL false. Yeah, so we do verify SSL false as response, response race for status, and then we'll say JSON is going to be response to JSON, and then we will say return JSON, and we will return what we got in the postman, which is going to be this. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Blah blah blah. Yeah, this all looks good here. As a response, I think dev get hostname. Yeah. Let's go ahead and do here. Create task will be get hostname for the host. And then for host in URLs, host loop run until complete async IOA tasks for URL task in zip URLs. Here will be hosts. Title is going to be task.result, and then device host, and then here will be host name, host. Device host has a host name. Okay, I think this is pretty much it if I didn't do anything incorrectly. So the same stuff, except here we are getting username and password. We are changing URL a little bit. For the RESTCONF, we're saying verify SSL false. Then since it's JSON, we have to work with it as a JSON. I don't think we need this anymore. And then we are here. First we are creating tasks, which will be get hostname. We run until complete on all of those tasks, and then we are returning the results from those tasks. So let's go ahead and try this. To run this is going to be Python RESTCONF async. tuple is required instead. So wait. Oh yeah, I also know this issue. So basic auth with aiohttp. I think I have to create an object or something there. Yeah, and I have to use DuckDuckGo. aiohttp basic auth. Blah 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 basic auth. No, not this client. Oh, basic auth. Nope. Okay, aiohttp. Yeah, HTTP basic auth login password. Okay, so yeah, I have to say this is going to be HTTP basic auth object, and then we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and run this code. Attempt to oh yeah, about that. I also have to provide the headers. So for the RESTCONF, you have to say accept type, which will be what, application yank data plus JSON, and then actually accept and content type application yank minus data JSON. I have to double check this because I don't remember. Header is application minus data plus JSON. Perfect. So this should be good, and then here we have to say that our headers will be headers, and then let's run black on this, and actually it failed. It didn't fail. Whatever. So yeah, it should be good. Let's go ahead and run this. Okay, now awesome. So look at this. What we did, we logged in to every we used RESTCONF to get the hostname for every device. Okay, using asyncio, and it took 1.6 seconds for 10 devices. I think it's just awesome. Device this has a hostname R1, R2, R3, R4, and so on and so forth. Yeah, perfect. So let's make this example even better. I think we can get hostname as well as interface stats. And first, I'm going to get an example of the data that we get back. So let's say get config of every device, and yeah, and my music just crashed. Okay, so for every interface, I would just get this data and just, I don't know, print it out. Well, now ideally I would need to like parse it somehow, do stuff. Okay, well, let's try. So get interfaces. Okay, so now URL is going to change to data native interface. I think with session get response trace for status. Now we have to do some data mangling with the response. Since what I really want to have, I want to have an interface. Well, I would like to have a list of every interface and maybe a name and like an IP address or something. So well, ideally I would also like to have if it's enabled or not, but the data will be in well, actually, I think we can actually get statistics of the interface. Let me see. Get. I don't remember the schema. I don't remember the schema. And I don't want to use the. Yeah, I don't remember the schema for up and down. It will take more time. I don't want to focus on this too much. You just get a list of IP addresses, of interfaces with their IP addresses. So the way it's going to be done, so we get interface, and now we can create a function which will process the interface's JSON, and this will take a JSON which is going to be, well, let's do data, which is going to be dictionary. Is this going to be a dictionary? Yes, it's going to be a dictionary of string any. I have to, from typing, import a dict any, and then this is going to return to us a list. Well, I can say, let's say iterable, actual list, a list of dictionaries where we have string and data can be anything. So result is going to be an empty list, and then we have to do data mangling here. So for int type in int info in no, I don't like this. Interface type interface info in data Cisco SXC native interface items. Okay, and for interface them. For let's say just for key value in interface info.items, we are going to say that the interface name is going to be f from interface type, and then now this is actually not great. Yeah, I don't like this. For interface type, and then there is a list. Yeah, so for interface in interface info, interface name is going to be interface type, and then interface num is going to be interface name. So this will be interface num, and then let's say IP address is going to be interface get IP, and I'm just doing it very fast. This is not the best code here, but I don't want to spend too much time here. So get, let's say IP address and then get primary, and then get address. Okay, and then our int dict is going to be interface name, well, just name will be interface name, and the IP address is going to be IP address, and then we will say result append interface dict. Okay, and then we return result, and we have to say that we need a list, and process interface is JSON. Okay, and then here we are saying that we are going to return process interface JSON from the JSON. I can say here data, and then the return type here is going to be a list of dictionaries. Okay, now here is an interesting magic. If you think about it, we need to get a hostname and we need to get an interfaces, but both of those can be done simultaneously. Okay, I mean, I don't necessarily need to get a hostname first and then get interfaces first. Ideally, probably it would be a good idea not to do them simultaneously, so that you don't overload the control plane of the router or switch. But technically in this example we don't have to, so I'm thinking if I should do them sequentially or not. I think I'm going to do them sequentially, not to overcomplicate this example. So yeah, we can get this. Well, actually, I can do both of them. Here it will be easy peasy. So hostname tasks, and then there are different ways I can do this. Task is going to be I will have to say gather, and I will have to unpack hostname tasks and interface tasks. Loop create task get interfaces host for hosting hosts. Loop run until complete, and I pass hostname task and interface tasks, and here I can have three-way zip. So hostname task, interface task, this will be hostname tasks, interface tasks. Then the hostname is going to be hostname task result, and interfaces is going to be interfaces task result. And then we are going to say the following: print f device f device host, and f hostname is going to be hostname, and then hostname, and then for interface in interfaces we are going to say that print here interfaces, say has interfaces. For interface, in interfaces, we are going to print interface.name, name, and then has IP address, interface IP, IP address, and yeah, this is pretty much just it, and yeah, this is all. So yeah, let's go ahead and run this. So interface has IP address, this. Just go ahead and try running this. I don't think it will work on the first attempt, but why not? Actually, it works just fine. Look at this. This is just beautiful. So, wow, this is just amazing. Look at this. So I go to every single device from my 10 devices. I get a host name, and then I get every interface with their IP address. For 10 devices, it took 14 seconds. 14 seconds. This is just amazing. Good luck doing that with Ansible, you know, during 14 seconds. Man, this is so cool. Yeah, so this is a RESTCONF. Damn, we spent so much time on all of these examples, but well, I hope this will be useful when people will be watching that, even though it's not really, we haven't touched Nornir yet. So what, we are streaming for 2 hours now. 2 hours, actually a little bit less, 1 hour 40 minutes. Okay, so let's actually have netdev example, just to gathering some you know, some data. So very similar one, we'll have netdev. So netdev is kind of like netmiko, which allows you to connect to devices via SSH. So we'll have to provide, well, first let me open their docs. Netdev Python docs, or I actually have them here. So here's devices that it supports. I have to provide device type Cisco iOS. So device type Cisco iOS. Okay, the same stuff here. Now here we will say def get let's say get outputs, okay, and then for get outputs we have to provide commands, which is will be an iterable of strings, iterable. We don't need aiohttp anymore, we need netdev. So netdev, we don't need beautiful soup as well. Okay, we have our hosts, we have other params, perfect. So we need to get outputs for the host, and by providing a list of commands. So let's also have a list of commands. We'll have we'll have 3 commands. So show version, show IP interface brief, and some other command. Show what? I want to have some command that is not super big. Show IP interface brief. We can have show memory statistics. I think show mem stat. Yeah, yes. Well, maybe show platform software. Damn, what was the command? Platform software status processor control processor brief, which will give us statistics about memory and CPU utilization on the platform. Yeah, so this will be our third command. So commands. This. Oh, there is a comment. Studying for network programmability section of Evolving Technologies 1.1 may ping you if I get real confused. Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm happy to help. Okay, so we have our hosts, we have other params that we are going to fill in, and we have commands that we are going to run. So, and here will be get outputs. I'm going to change this a little bit. I would like to have like hostname for these devices. So this is going to be a dictionary where we will say, let's say R1, something like this. And now I'm going to give it a space, and here we'll just change 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this will change just a little bit. Yeah, I think this is good. So here we'll have host info. I'm thinking how it would be to do the best. Well, I think I will need a function which will say, no, I think this is good. So this will be host info, which will be what, the dictionary. Or maybe this will be a tuple. So this will be a tuple of string, host info tuple, and commands. So we don't need username and password here. Well, actually we do. We will need to do it differently. So host name, host is going to be host info. We will have tuple unpacking, where we will say now device params is going to be the we only need, let me see, host. We need host. This will be host, and then we will say device params update other params. Okay, this is good. Now we say async netdev create params. Let's say this will be netdev create device params as device connection. Yeah, and now we are going to do the following. We are going to just print like an output for actually, I'm not going to print those. I'm going to just await on those. So I'm going to say output is going to be await on devicecon send command for command in commands. Okay, and then we are going to just return these outputs. Return outputs. So this will be an iterable of string. So yeah, async with netdev create device params output. We are awaiting when we are sending command. Now, also very important piece, and I think in this case it's justifiable. When I'm doing this, this is going to be like I am going to do one command after another. I'm not going to do them at the same time on one device. And I think it makes sense again because I don't think device will do any faster if you just try to do the same show command, different show commands by different SSH sessions or something. It may break it. So it makes sense to me that you do one command after another on a single device, but you do all of these commands simultaneously on a number of devices. So that's why it's consecutive. It's by design, it's not an error here. So we do get outputs, then we don't need this anymore, we don't need this anymore. Now we creating a tasks which will be very similar. Get output host info. For host info in host.items. Okay. So I don't need this anymore, and I think I can wait on the tasks. I think I'll wait tasks. Now we also need to have this printing piece. So for host name and task, well, for host in zip hosts and then tasks. So host name is going to be, well, I don't need here. Our host name is going to be host, and then command outputs is going to be task.result. So task.result, and then we are going to do printing stuff. So you'll say device, and I will just put a host, which is actually here a host name. For device host name has let's say output from command, let's say output from command, and I will do something like this. Output from command, let's say yeah, I have to do additional piece. I have to say for command in command and output in zip commands, and I have to provide commands here as well. Commands and command outputs, and we are going to print output from command, and then I'm going to print let's say output. I'm thinking if I'm doing it correctly. Do I do it correctly? Yes, I'm doing it correctly. Output is going to be this, and then maybe a new line or something. Yeah, and then this for command output. Yeah, so this looks good to me. Too many blank lines. Okay, and I don't need this anymore. So let me kind of look through it. So we get outputs. Oh, I have to import tuple. So I import tuple. Host name is going to be host info. We are forming device params, and then we are updating username, password. Oh, I have to check if those names are correct. Let's see, username, password, okay. Device type as well. Done, done, done. So then outputs is going to be await on same command for command in commands. Oh yeah, here. So then we are going to get our outputs as a list. So here, this list is right here. Then you're saying device this, and then we are saying command out. Well, I can just say outputs here. Command outputs zip, and that's all. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I guess it will take some time. And this is going to be netdev async. Netdev async py. Wow, it took even less time. Nice. Did it actually do it for 10 devices? You gonna be kidding me. Look at this. Man, this is just amazing. Look at this, folks. So if you I'm creating a new file, and well, this will be what? This will be plain text. Where is this? Plain text. Plain text. Obviously my printing is not great. I could do it like on center or something, but look at this. Every device, there is show version, show IP interface brief, show platform software status control processor brief, and then there is the next device and its output. R2 uptime is, and its output, and then R3, and you can see that the outputs are definitely different. And 4 and 5 and 6, and damn, it just takes too much time to scroll, and all of that took 8 seconds to run. 8 seconds. I mean, try running this in like Ansible, for example. Just yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, you know, guys, I don't really like Ansible, so yeah, I'm a little bit biased, but 8 seconds to get outputs from 10 different devices. So yeah, it just feels amazing. Okay, so those were all of the example of async. We did RESTCONF with async. We did netdev, which just kind of like netmika but async, and everything looks great actually here. So yeah, and probably the most important reason is that, well, not only most of the time it's faster, we already saw situations where it was not faster. Most of the time it's faster, but it also gives you explicit control where you do IO operations, so it's much the purpose of stuff like locks and mutexes. You still need them sometimes in async IO, but most of the time you actually don't. Since everything here except of opening connection on this line, which you mark with async, and where you get a command and you wait for output, everything else is run sequentially, unlike threads where you can switch context at any time. Okay, good. So yeah, what's the time? So right now the recording is for 2 hours 4 minutes. So yeah, it took around 1 hour 30 minutes to do another example of async. Well, more than one, but everything we wrote from scratch, right? It's a little bit different mindset. You can't learn it within one evening, but definitely doable. So yeah, I'm sorry folks if you were if the whole reason you joined today is just to see how I am going to write asyncio in Nornir. I'm going to start it now, but yeah, you know, it always takes more time than I usually realize to cover some topic. Okay, let me know folks if you have any questions. I do hope that this was useful for you. I do have some netdev scripts in running for our internal purposes. One of the example was a Cisco Live where, well, I had internal project, but I took the code from that project and I showed it at Cisco Live. We had to make sure that our cabling was correct. In our lab with around 100-ish devices and 700 cables there, and I wrote the script there in running in production where it was doing CDP neighbors via netdev library, parsing those and making sure that it's according to our documentation, and the whole script runtime was I think around 17 seconds or so on the whole lab environment. Yeah, so yeah, this is it. This is end of the part with the tutorial for async. Now let's go ahead and try doing that with async. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this gist that I shared for another project that I'm doing. I'm not going to rerun it, but I'm going to give you perspective like how I solve this problem. Since using asyncio internally in the libraries, you can just go ahead and use it because your users may be already running asyncio, and if you just run, you know, loop that you want, you may break stuff. You actually can't have multiple loops running at the same time. So yeah, you should not, I don't think you should just go ahead and, you know, create a loop in your library and use it like nothing happened. So I got inspired by some other folk and his code that he shared on the internet. So I took it as a starting point and I made it work for my purposes. So what it's doing conceptually, it's doing the following. In the main function, I am creating a new loop and then I am starting a new thread. Okay, so I'm creating a thread and I'm starting it. And now this thread runs with start background loop function. This start background loop function does two things. It's basically, you know, setting the loop that I created, and then it says I'm going to run it forever. So you are creating a separate thread where you run this loop forever. And what this allows you to do, using this function asyncio run coroutine thread safe, where you provide your coroutine, it will run this coroutine in this background thread. So what this really means is that if user of your library tries to use async, he can, and nothing will interrupt, and it will not create any problems for the user. Okay, since everything is done in a separate thread, and you know something is going on there. So yeah, I built it here. It took me a lot of time to make sure that it was working. At some point I almost gave up, but actually I made it work. The code is very similar to one of the examples that we ran today. Now, yeah, so probably the most magic is here, the start background loop and run coroutine thread safe. But also another point is that this line here, this is blocking, so you need to be very careful with this. So whenever you have to group tasks, you have to group them directly inside of your coroutine at the first step here, which I figure out after some time. Okay, good. So this is an okay, now another thing. What do I mean by having async IO in netdev? And there are a couple of pieces, okay? One of them, usually what you mean by introducing async into the Python library, it means that you are creating async functions in your libraries that are public API. So your users, instead of running something like, you know, nornir.run, they will do await nornir.run. So they can use async IO loops that they created themselves and the functions that you wrote in your library. So this is how we used netdev or aiohttp. And this is what is usually meant. Okay. However, if you think about it, Nornir itself is just a network automation engine. Okay, so well, not network automation, it's just Python automation framework. It allows you to run tasks on a number of devices at the same time using threads by default. What I think would be a great first step is not to do what I mentioned before, where we are creating public API which can allow you to use async, but it allows you to run tasks which contain coroutines. Okay, so one of your tasks would be something like this. So you would create a task like this, and you know that you're using netdev library, which is async library. Now in your code you would say nr.run, you would provide this function there, you would provide this function, and it will run it in the event loop on this thread. Okay, so this is the idea. Okay, let me go ahead and explain it again. One typical approach would be to expose a public API for the user for him to use async in his program. What I think would be a great step in Nornir, since it's automation framework where it basically runs other libraries on the backend, is to allow use of async libraries in Nornir itself. Okay, so for example, we have netmiko send command. In the same way, you would have netdev send command, which would allow you to use async module basically. So the reason why that I strongly believe that for the big scale, when we are talking about thousands, async IO will scale much better than threads, much better. Like you would be able to run thousands of coroutines at the same time, but I don't believe you will be fine running, let's say 10,000 of threads. So I do believe this allows yet another horizon for Nornir usage, and as a user you won't even, well, you would have to have some basic understanding, like, oh, I would like to use a library which is async, but we would provide you all capabilities that you need for that. So I think it's kind of like intermediary, but it also I think much more useful for users, since I don't believe a lot of users of Nornir framework know how to write their async programs. With this, complexity is hidden for you, and Nornir runs those async tasks like usual task on the backend, and you don't even know. Okay, so let's go ahead and try doing that. So we are right now at mark 2 hours 15 minutes, so we will have around 45 minutes. So yeah, I'm not sure we'll get far, but yeah, we will try. I already was thinking about it. I haven't written a single line of code for it, but I was thinking about it. I do believe that it's doable, but I don't. There are a couple of pieces that may be hard, especially handling connections may require the whole rewrite. But yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, let's go ahead and do stuff. So I will go to my Nornir project. Now I was doing rebase for one of my PRs, and I have to abort it. And I will have to say git fetch upstream. So I want to download the latest updates from the Nornir, and I think I will have to kill my, oh, actually it worked fine. Okay, so 200 beta is the branch that I need. Now I'm thinking I will have to do git checkout 200 beta, test it's behind by 10 commits and can be fast forwarded. Let's go ahead and do that. So git fetch upstream stream 200 beta. Yeah, git pull, I think. Yeah. Okay. So git log, fix things. Yeah, perfect. Okay, good. So I have this now. Nornir. I have to check that I will be on correct branch. So I will have to create a new branch now. Git branch, git checkout my no. Let me double check. Git create branch based on current branch. I think I can do just git checkout -b. Oh, okay, git checkout -b, and then I have to provide the branch. So this is going to be async IO tasks. So async IO tasks, and will be based on the 200 beta. Okay. So I am on this new branch. Now we will need helper here. Merge to so yeah. So first we will have to create a helper. We'll say async helper py, and here we'll say from dot import async helper. No, from dot async helper we will import something. We'll see. So here we'll have to say import inspect. So one of the things that I need is that I have to say, is this function a coroutine? So Python is function and coroutine. Yeah, this one. So we'll have here function. Well, honestly, I actually don't need this helper. Sorry, folks. This is useless. We'll just use this built-in function. Inspect is coroutine function object. Okay. Now, I think I will need to have sandbox here. We will create a new directory called async. Right now I will try doing an example without the yeah, I will try to create stuff without the saving connection, and the saving connection would be the second step. Yeah, so here's what I need to do. And I think I have my host file. Yeah, I have here csrdef, which I am going to use. I think I can copy paste all of this here. Oh, and by the way, yes, this will not work anymore. I have to check my docs. Look at my docs. My docs are amazing. Sweet docs, sweet docs. Okay, so connection boundaries. Damn. Scroll. Did the link break? Oh. Interesting. Okay, here what we need. So this is a new file, a new format for the config YAML. So let's go ahead and use this. So and well, should be able to use it directly from here. Configs, groups. Now there is another change that our inventory is different. So configuration. Inventory. So inventory is now a little bit different. Hostname, port, username, platform. All of this is correct. Now everything else goes to data. So data, like here. In this case, I actually don't need any data. So now groups. So in this case, stuff like that would go to the data. So yeah, something like this. Okay, config now workers 20. Even though this workers, we don't care about those. Plugin, host file, group file. Okay, now we need our script. I have to find some script. I will copy this script. I can just create right now test.py. I don't need logging. From Nornir core, import Nornir. Wait, what? Oh, it's not in core anymore. Filter. I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't need this anymore. Yeah, cisrdef. Yeah. So let's say print cisrdef.data. Okay. So something like this theoretically should work. So I have virtual environment. Yeah, I think we're good to go here. So I will say source venv bin activate. It will help if I can spell it correctly. And now I should be able to go to my sync folder. Oh, I will not be able to go to a sync folder. Nope. Yeah, this will not work. Or will it? It depends on pip freeze. Did I should install it in develop mode. Okay, I did. So I should be able to say pip install -e dot. Yeah. Uninstall. Now this actually, I don't like this. Why don't we have here in setup by? We should have in setup by 2.00b. Okay, it should actually be fine. Find existing installation. It successfully installed Nornir. Yeah, and let's also upgrade pip as well. So we are upgrading pip here. Okay, we are good. So yeah, I should be able to do it. So sandbox test, what? cd sandbox, async. Okay, so if I run my python test.py, interesting, value is not a valid dict. Yeah, wow, okay. So my groups are not correct. Group ISP, and it's just why are you failing again? Let me see. Groups. Inventory host. Value is not a valid dict. Oh, okay, because this value is none. Yeah, so it should be like this. Nornir object has no attribute hosts. What? Yes, no. Hold on. So nr filter, yeah, so this should be inventory hosts. Yeah. So I will add some data just to make sure that we are good. So data will be, I don't know, let's say RESTCONF enabled, and this will be true. So okay, now it's fine. And I think I'm going to do the CSR3 here as well, and I think this one is 24, but I have to double check. So this CSR3 show in brief 26 actually. Okay, and I don't need this anymore. Okay, so I have my two devices here, username, platform, blah blah blah. Okay, so there are a couple of pieces that we need for this script. So first I would like to create a new I want to create a new task which is going to be async. We are going to rely on the, we are almost will be working with this. Say I created my own task here, which, and then you create a new task. The first variable should be task, and then you need to, I don't need this anymore, and I need, well, I still need other stuff. So here from typing import iterable, so I have task and commands. So now I here have to create a task, and unfortunately I don't remember anymore how to create tasks, so I will have to look it up. I will have to here import netdev as well. So import netdev. Right now we are going to handle connection on our own, but ideally I would like to have it as part of the library. So task blah blah blah, csr dev inventory, yeah. So I would like to say that okay, task commands and then whatever. Well, I have to first install here in this virtual environment netdev pip install netdev, and I'm going to do one additional piece. I'm going to install a thing called UV loop. So UV loop is a faster implementation of the it's just basically faster than default async. So we will need that as well. And well, actually I can log out from my device right now, from my environment. I don't need it as of now. So netdev, and then I also need the what? Well, I will need UV loop. Okay. So I have both of those installed. We are going to use UV loop internally. Okay, sync dev get output task. Yeah, I think I have to go to one of my you know, one of my let's say functions. No, with tasks, networking, netconf. Okay, task keywords any. I will copy it right now to have it as a reference. So I will need, so task is from Nornir core task. Okay, so our host is going to be task task.host. Well, it's actually is going to be here. So the host is going to be task.host. And then we'll do the following. Our device parameter is going to be the following: host.hostname, the do I need, no, I don't need port, so I need username, which is going to be host username. We will have password, which is going to be host.password. And we are going to need the device type, which is going to be host.platform. This is device params. We don't need that. We don't need that. Now, unresolved. These for what? Let's see. So task, Nornir core task, import task. Okay. So from Nornir core task, import task, and then we say I have to move this to another view. Task host get connection, device CLI. Trying to understand how I should do it correctly. Here is the function. Oh, yeah. Correct. So host is equal to task.host, then blah 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 blah. We can connect to the device and return outputs, for example. And yeah, then we are returning the outputs, which is going to be this. Now this needs to be changed. So we have to say that we return the result, where result is going to be outputs. And then this host is going to be task.host. Okay, I have to import from Nornir core task result as well. Expected type iterable, got a result installed inside. Okay. So this is what is going to be. So this part is async. Now what I want to do is I want to say, let's do additional piece. Let's say that let's say tag CSR and tag CSR. And then here will be CSRs. Let's say for CSR in CSRs, print CSR name in CSR's inventory hosts items of values in CSR name. Okay, so I don't need this. We're still not done with this, but that's fine. So if I do Python test py, it's actually, wow, it's not working. Why are you not working? Mapping values are not allowed in this context. What is that supposed to mean? I don't understand. Oh, yeah, data. Okay, now this I don't like. Yeah, because we filtered incorrectly, so we have to say tag CSR. Yeah, so now we have two devices. So now the API that I would like to support is this. And let me also bring one of the examples. So blocks Cisco Nornir. Actually, I should have just gone to tutorial. Not this one, yeah. So tutorials. Executing tasks. Okay, so result is going to be this, and then we have to say print result. Okay, so let's import this as well, and then we are going to say CSRs run this, and then we have to print result. So let's say and let's also specify commands like we did before. So commands is going to be those commands. So this is what I want to run, and I want to say that so I want to filter them by the tag, and then I would like to say that result is going to be equal to CSRs.run, and then I provide a coroutine task is equal to get outputs, and then arguments are going to be commands is equal to commands, something like this. And then I just want to print that result to my screen. Now the problem, this will not work because this stuff here, it returns a coroutine. Okay, so because this is a async dev. So if I say Python test py, I think it may crash, may not. Yeah, you see that as a result it returns a coroutine object, which doesn't really makes any sense since I want a result, but we haven't run those coroutines yet. So the magic for this should happen inside of the run function. So I have to go to definition, but go to declaration. So this should be CSR, no, it should be in core, Nornir core init, and then here should be def run. Okay, so this piece here, this part is yeah, we'll have to re-implement it somehow. If run num workers, num good, on good, for name host in self inventory host items, self data run on append, and then there is run serial, and then okay, I think the main magic should happen here. So we're saying if num workers is 1, then we're going to do this. If run parallel blah, then we are doing run parallel. Now damn, that's not good. Like this just nope. Yeah, so you'll say if you'll have to here import inspect, then you'll say here, say elif. So we'll say here if inspect is coroutine function task. Okay, so if this function is a coroutine, now we have to run it. Now there is another piece. If this function is coroutine, we'll have to check if we have a loop inside of this object, which should be a part of the global state, I guess. Yeah, it should be here. So self say self loop, say async loop, well, event loop is going to be none, and this is going to be optional. Well, right now I will just don't do any types. So well, or actually I can do them. So from typing import optional, so import asyncio, and this will be optional asyncio abstract base event loop, abstract event loop, and by default it's none. Global state event loop is read only. Global state, oh okay, I have to specify slots, so this will be event loop. Okay, so by default it's none. Now ideally, if you do this, we have to create a loop in a separate thread. Yeah, so, and this loop is going to be what, as if damn, I'm not sure yet where I should put it. So well, I guess I should put it here. So dev, let's say start background loop. Okay, self. So what we are going to do, we are going to say, and I will need a couple of, I need my example for that. And I'm sorry folks, for some reason my notifications are not working anymore again, so I guess it was someone who followed me So thank you very much for following. Sorry, I don't see here in the notifications panel, didn't pop up. Okay, so we have to start background loop. Now I have to do it correctly. So I'm going to use that example that I put in the chat before. Let me start closing stuff that is not needed. I may need this, by the way. Not this. Yeah, this one. So I will have to create a loop. Well, maybe not start background loop, let's say up. Well, actually it's starting loop. Start background loop actually works nice. So here we'll have another function with underscore, which will do this. Start background loop. So this is also going to take a loop object, which actually we don't need this case, and we'll say self event loop is going to be run forever, and asyncio send event loop will be self event loop. Yeah, and here we are going to say that this. So well, I can actually provide this as an argument. So loop will be asyncio abstract event loop, and then this one will be loop. Okay, so now loop, well, yes, the loop is going to be asyncio new event loop. No, we are going to use UV loop. So UV loop unused import statement. So this is going to be loop UV loop, new event loop, and then we have to import thread. So from threading import thread. So t target start background loop, args loop, and then we also say that self loop is equal, well, self event loop is equal to loop, and then this will be thread, and then thread start. So start background loop self. So this doesn't return anything. So we are providing here an argument. We'll do this so we don't have shadowing. So loop asyncio set event loop run forever. Here we are creating a new UV loop, setting event loop as loop, and then we are starting this as a thread, and this should be a daemon thread. Okay, perfect. So what this does is basically we are going to check well, I think I can say get or create new event loop, and I think I can also return this loop if I need to. So even though it's not a great idea here, since we are already changing the internal state here, and I'm going to put off my AirPods. Okay. Start background loop self. Okay, blah blah blah. This looks good. So what I need to do is probably have a function in the Nornir object which will say get or create loop, because based on that we are going to start tasks. So global state, yeah, I have to go back to my Nornir object. and here it says self data if data is not, so else global state. Yeah, so here we'll have to create a function called get or create loop, event loop self. So what this is going to do is going to say for if self data event loop is not known, return self data event loop, else and this is going to return our asyncio abstract. Well, I have to import this, so import asyncio, and here will be asyncio abstract event loop. So if this is not the case, we are going to, well, actually I can do the following. If self data event loop is known, then we are going to say self data start background loop, and then we will return self data event loop. Okay, basically we're checking if we already started the loop, then if so data event loop is none, so data, then we start background loop. Okay, if start background loop. Okay, get or create event loop. Okay, so now we have to go here and say if inspect is a coroutine function, we'll have to say, well, we have to get a loop. So loop is going to be self get or create event loop. So this is the first piece. Basically we're saying, okay, if you passed me a coroutine function, I'm going to check if I already have a background loop up and running. If I don't, then I'm going to start it and return it. If I do, then I'm just going to return it. So then we have to do this self run. So we have to submit this task to the loop. Run serial, run. Now this may be a little bit problematic. So run serial hosts and keyword arguments. Well, I think I will have to create a new function called dev run async. Well, run async task. Okay. Well, I think I can just say run async, and then it says task hosts and keyword arguments in a very similar way. Yeah, this will not be so easy. Then if I do run thread save, this will not work. Damn. So run async, so this should be an async function. And then we are going to use similar approach I used in this example, where we are creating a tasks I don't think we even need to create tasks if I use gather. Yeah, I will have to do something like this. Damn. I will also need to provide a loop here. Tasks, hosts, and loop. And then async, run async, keyword arguments, tasks, loop, create task. I would like to say that this should be task, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we will have to create a new thing called I don't know yet. This will require some work. So meanwhile, I'm going to for host in hosts, we are going to create those tasks and then we are going to wait on them. And yeah, I don't think we even need that. So, and then you have to say task and then keyword args. No. Damn, this is not correct. Yeah, we'll have to create, I will have to create this. I will have to create the async task. So this will be something like async task. Keyword arguments for host in hosts. Yes. Interesting. So I think it should be something like this and then start. Run, start. What? I just found something that is bothering me. You're using multiprocessing, but I was always sure that we were using threading. I think I don't remember something. So core task. You really don't use threads? This can be the case. Task. Right now I'm confused. I don't understand what's going on here. I was pretty sure we were always using threads, but multiprocessing dummy pool, I'm pretty sure it's not it. It's just multiple core process based. What is this? The processing is a package that supports spawning processes using API similar to the threading module. Oh, using multiprocessing dummy using threads, not processes. Multiprocessing dummy replicates the API of multiprocessing, but it's no more than a wrapper around threading module. That means that you're restricting it by GIL. Okay, damn. This is the first time I hear about. Well, I heard about multiprocessing dummy, but I didn't know that it's actually it is for threads. That's interesting. Damn, this is so confusing. Okay, so whatever. So this is running threads, but it looks like processes. But this is what this is. So async task start. I think this is what I should have. Host self for host and host. Okay, so here we are creating tasks. Then we are awaiting on these tasks to finish, which is fine. And then I have to deal with the results in very specific manner. I'll have to say here return results. Yeah, I have to return these results, but I can't just return them. I can't. Because I think aiogather will basically return a list of results. So then I will have to say for damn, this doesn't make sense to me. For result, well, for result host in zip, well, actually vice versa. For host result in zip hosts and results. And I will have to say that host I don't remember with this aggregate results. So aggregated result is going to be keyword argument get. Yeah, I also need this here. Result, and then for host result result from the host.name is going to be a result, I guess, something like this. Yeah, and then we return the result. And this should return result object. So okay, so now we have to create this async task, which should be very similar to task, but async. So this should be a coroutine. This .start should return a coroutine. Okay, now this is one piece. Now the second piece is I have to do this run async, but it's async dev, so I have to do it very carefully. So in order to get the result from that, I will have to do this and do dot result. So I will have to say if this is the case, then the result is going to be run curl blah blah blah. Then this was going to be task. And damn. Well, no, this is not how it should be. This should be self run async task run on and keywords. What this means, and loop. What this means is that this should be regular def, but we have to have a async, let's say run tasks or something, dev, well, async dev run tasks, async dev run tasks, probably the same thing, hosts loop keywords. So then we do this, and then we say okay, now result is going to be loop, well, I think I run coroutine thread safe. We'll say run tasks, task hosts loop keyword arguments, yeah, and loop, and then we say return task.result, something like this. So this is a coroutine. So we have to create our coroutines here, then we wait on them using gather, and then for every host and result we are changing the result here, and at the very end we return aggregated result. But now in order to run it, we have to say async IO run coroutine thread safe, and then we run this function. And then we return task.result. Okay, this makes sense to me. Now this loop seems to be redundant now, but that's fine. So, and then we have to implement this async task, which is going to be pain in the ass. Probably. Yeah, I guess it will be pain, but it is what it is. So, and then in async blah 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 start, we'll have to have let's say async start, which accepts async def, and then here you have to do the same thing, like self.task. This will be awaited. Yeah, I think it's doable. It's just could be a little pain in the ass, but that's fine. Okay, so yeah, I think we'll wrap up because I already feel like it's a little bit too much for me. So yeah, first let me tell you the next step here, right? So before I do summary, so we created here the function which allows to run async functions from synchronous context. It's called run async. It runs this async IO run coroutine thread safe, and async def, and then we run this coroutine here. What it does, it's supposed to create a result placeholder, which is aggregated result. We create our tasks using, probably we'll have to say async task. Maybe we can just add let's say async start or something like this here. I don't know yet. We do that. Those must be coroutines, unlike previously those were just functions. We await on the bunch of coroutines, and then we assign proper results, and then we return those, and then we will return those here and through here, and our thing is supposed to work. Okay, so now all of what is needed is either define this async task, or maybe, just maybe, I don't know yet, maybe we can just extend the task class itself, but I think we actually have to separate those. Yeah, so you will have async task.start, something like this. Okay, yeah, so the next step is create this async task. Now once that is done, our code should be able to run. Okay, once we do that, our sandbox test py here, it should be able to run, probably after a couple of iterations. Now the next step after that would be to create a connection handling, which I guess will be actually not so easy. So for connection handling, because we usually use get connection here, this get connection also we have to find a way to make it async, which will probably be a big challenge, but we'll see. So yeah, let's do a summary of what we did today, and also let me know, guys, if you have any questions in the chat. So today we started with first looking on async IO again, but I think I gave you more examples today than last time, and I will put the link. I will put the link to the previous stream, which was a while back, in the comments on YouTube. Okay, well, not comments, the description on YouTube. So today we kind of reiterated based on that. I what I did, I created a bunch of bunch of examples actually here, 6 different examples, where first we started doing HTTP request in usual way. Okay, we selected 10 websites, and then we run and we go to each web page and get the title. Then I converted that to threads. So we were doing the same stuff, but we were using thread pull executor from concurrent features. Yeah, we were doing that. Then I converted it to async version, and I had 2 async versions. Async version number 1, where we were using run until complete and download pages, which is a coroutine. And I think version number 2, where we were creating tasks from outside the event loop itself, from synchronous context using loop create task. So we got that working. Now the next step was we were exploring RESTCONF async. So we were doing RESTCONF on 10 CSRs, and we were getting a hostname, and we were getting the interface data. And again, we were using async, and it was very funny because I think the whole runtime for that was just a couple of seconds. It was very impressive. I think like 2 seconds for 10 devices. And then as a last step of the tutorial, we were using netdev library to gather an outputs from the show commands from the device. And it took, I think, 7 seconds or something. I don't remember the exact numbers. Now, after we were finished with that, we were actually started introducing asyncio functionality into the Nornir itself. I explained to you 2 different approaches. That one approach is to expose async API to the user, another one is not. And I decided that right now it would be a great idea not to expose that for the user, but to be able for the user to run asyncio tasks using Nornir. So I started working on it. I can't say we got to the working result yet, but we got quite far. So I showed how example would look like from user perspective. You'd create like a sync function, and then we were starting working on internals, how to make it actually work in this .run function, which will take some work. So we got to some point, but yeah, it will still require some work to get that done. That said, I'm quite confident we will be able to implement that. Let me see if there are any questions, final questions in the chat. No, I don't see any questions. So with that, we will wrap up today's stream. Thank you very much, everyone who attended. I really appreciate you taking your time. I hope if you were watching it, especially from the beginning, that you learned something new and something useful for you. And I hope that I will be able to finish this functionality for Nornir, and at some point it will appear in the stable release. With that, thank you very much, and I wish you an easy working week. Thank you.